All right, hello everyone. We're going to start since it's 9:01 a.m. This is Anna Toledano. Say hello, Anna.
Hello.
Anna is a PhD student at the history department at Stanford University, and she previously worked as an interpretive specialist at the New York Botanical Garden. And my name is Maria del Carmen Barrios Giordano. I'm currently Crest Interpretive Fellow at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, but it's actually quite recent. Until recently, I was curatorial assistant to the Art++ initiative at Cantor Arts Center, which is Stanford University's art museum. So we are both presenting on a project that we worked on there at Cantor called Art++, and our presentation is called Cultivating Collaboration. So to start off really quickly, we're going to show you a quick video about what our application looks like and what it does.
In an age in which technology has an ever-increasing presence in our daily lives, museums have begun exploring new ways for technical innovation to enrich first-hand encounters with art. At Stanford, art and technology come together through Art++, an augmented reality mobile app created for art museum visitors. Art++ was released on July 13, 2016, with the opening of Art++ Technology and Art Lab, a Cantor Arts Center exhibition that showcased the capabilities of the app. The release included a complete interface redesign from our beta version and featured all new content tailored for the artwork on view in the exhibition. The Art++ software is based on a unique image recognition algorithm. When a visitor points a device at a work of art, the image captured on the device's camera is shown live on screen, with computer graphics overlaid on the field of vision. The Art++ software identifies, tracks, and displays graphics in tandem to create an intuitive and familiar experience for visitors encountering AR for the first time. It recognizes most artwork in under 2 seconds and runs successfully when viewing art at an angle or at different scales. All Art++ content is based on 3 AR experiences: overlays, panoramas, and series. The Art++ installation featured objects ranging from a 17th century Dutch landscape to a 20th century Nigerian textile, which were chosen specifically to highlight the educational potential of augmented reality in museums. The AR graphics can provide a visitor with insight into the long and complex history of an image. They may explain the processes involved in art conservation, or they may even offer a panoramic view of an actual site replicated in an image. The Art++ initiative presents new opportunities to meld Stanford's world-class engineering research with the arts. The image recognition and augmented reality platform is available for use as open-source software at any museum or cultural institution. Get in touch and discover what is possible when technology enhances perspectives on art. Art++ was made possible with funding from the Brown Institute for Media Innovation. We extend our thanks.
Right, so an amazing thing about our application is that we had very robust analytics, so any actionable any actionable action by the user was listed, and then we had a timestamp on it. So with that information, we were able to figure out a lot of things, and I could spend half an hour explaining everything that we found out, but these are some of the most important pieces of information that we had. Our exhibition was open for 11 weeks. We only have information for the first 9 weeks that we were open. In those 9 weeks, we had about 33,000 active users, and that means that the user grabbed a device, then pressed start, used the device to recognize an image in the exhibition, and then returned the tablet and plugged it back in. That's pretty high for us because summer is our low season. We are an academic museum after all. The median amount of time spent at a work of art was 46 seconds, which is pretty high if you benchmark it in comparison to some of the Smith & Smith studies at the Art Institute of Chicago and the Met, which is about, the median amount of time is about 20-something seconds. So this is pretty good. And also our most popular pieces, which were the Warhol and the 17th century Dutch painting that we showed you, actually had a median amount of time of 80 seconds, which again is pretty high. About 40% of our users used audio on the app, which is very surprising to us. Our application was not built as an audio delivery system, but this just goes to show that Cantor Arts Center would probably it would probably be good for them to develop an audio tour, since 40% of our users use the audio on the app. So a little bit more about Cantor Arts Center. A lot of people haven't heard of Cantor. It only reopened in 1999 as an art museum on campus. It is currently going through a big change. They're currently looking for a director, so if any of you guys know any good candidates, please do get in touch with Cantor Arts Center. And they are not very well known on campus themselves because, again, they're sort of new to campus. And interestingly, although they are at Stanford, they're a very conservative institution. This was their first big digital project. So there are all sorts of systematic issues related to the development of this project. However, Anna's going to tell us a little bit more about how we got it done.
Yes, so this project, as Mari Carmen was saying, probably wouldn't have gotten off the ground without student involvement. And one of the key components of Stanford's new arts initiative is to get students more involved and through the doors at the Cantor. And the primary way of doing that was by having students be some of the key collaborators in the development of Art++. I was one of those students. I was hired as a copywriter to do copy research and content research for the paintings for Art++. So Mari Carmen and I were based out of Cantor. Then we also had the backbone, really, of the app was created by Stanford engineering, PhD students in electrical engineering, who completely coded the image recognition software from the ground up. So we're very proud that it was an entirely Stanford-created project. So we really tapped into the resources that we had there, and we encourage, if you do have an academic museum, to think about tapping into those student resources that you have at your fingertips.
Yeah, and finally, our funding came from the Brown Institute for Media Innovation, which is a joint institute at both Columbia School of Journalism in New York and Stanford School of Engineering. So they are a foundation that is built on giving money to these sorts of interesting digital projects, and they're open to anyone who has any kind of Columbia or Stanford affiliation. So if anyone on your staff has any sort of affiliation with those two universities, you can actually ask the Brown Institute for funding. And the great thing about the Brown Institute is that the way that we got them involved is that there was a professor there who was interested in working at the museum. And really, that faculty contact was crucial for us to get these sorts of technical students involved in creating this application for the museum. So again, faculty contacts are pretty crucial.
And so just a quick overview, a little more in depth than the quick one that you saw in the video, of the different mechanisms of display that we featured in the application, the different ways in which we use the interpretive power of Art++ to tell stories about the art at Cantor. There was overlays, panoramas, and series. And the overlay, as we showed in the example of the 17th century Dutch painting, in this particular example, we overlaid images of high-resolution scans from UV light and other processing systems from our conservation lab before the restoration of the painting to show the process and the decay of the painting, so visitors could see what it had looked like before the restoration and afterwards. And it was all overlaid in the tablet viewfinder. This is the panorama, so visitors could turn around, actually, I'm trying to keep my face on the microphone, turn around and see the 360 Google Street View of this space in the Alhambra, in the Fountain of the Lions, because the image that we had was just a painting of one in the Court of the Lions with the fountain. The image we had was only of one of the portals, so it really expanded the space for visitors. And this final methodology, which was a series, we used on this particular Nigerian textile, which was painted using roller painting as a roller method, and each color layer was laid on individually. So visitors could slide the slider on the bottom and see the process of creating the textile. And we also used that methodology for a series of Andy Warhol Mao prints, which we displayed one of, and then we used the slider to show the other colors.
Great, so here are just a couple of shots of what our exhibition looked like. As you can see, it's a very small exhibition space. There were only 9 objects. Excuse me. This was the entrance, which, as you can see, is very small, which we generally have difficulty with in our own museum, just getting people through this gallery. And then this is the inside of the exhibition. This is what our kiosk looked like for people to grab the tablets and then the earphones.
And we were very pleased to see how the press in San Francisco and the Bay Area reacted. Well, the Stanford Daily, of course, gave us a shout out. We also had some online publications that introduced Art++ to the community in San Francisco and the Bay Area alongside other museum technologies, so we were really proud of that. And we're hoping that it provides a nice springboard for the Cantor to enter into future projects.
Yeah, and finally, we just want to talk about what the future of this project is. We're thinking about exploring new partnerships. We are speaking with someone from a national monument currently. We also are thinking about, we're hoping that Cantor, neither of us are there anymore, but we're hoping that Cantor will think about how to include Art++ in their permanent galleries now in the future. And finally, as we mentioned in the video, the students involved with Art++ are considering making it available as open source.
Great. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please do let us know. We'd love to share with you.
Yes, go ahead. September 26th. So the question was whether Art++ is set up anywhere else beyond the current exhibition, and the answer is no.
Did you develop a CMS to go along with it so that you could create that set?
Correct. There was a CMS. It's a web kiosk based, and it allows us to put up all the images and all of the content.
And it's quite versatile too. So we're hoping to share it because you can overlay the images on it inside the CMS. So even someone like me, who I was doing just content generation and I'm not like at Stanford level of coding, could function with it. So.
Go ahead.
Did you have to keep holding it for things to happen?
You actually do not. You only hold it up to trigger the image recognition, but if you want to read the content, you can lower it into what we call reading modes. Because what we didn't mention is this was actually developed through an iterative approach. We are at Stanford after all, and we know about the D-School and the D-School development sort of process. So what we learned from our iterative process was that people's arms got very tired, so we developed this reading mode for them to lower the tablet. Interestingly, not everybody actually discovered it, and we still had people holding the thing up for like 10 minutes throughout the exhibition, and then tell us that they got tired.
What's the impact on battery life to have this image recognition?
It's actually.
What exhibition do you imagine a bigger gallery like?
Currently, that isn't something that we've thought about too much because the project was always considered as a small exhibition level. The battery life is not something that we had trouble with. What we did have trouble with was just heating of the device. So the device would get really hot and it would crash. We had quite a number of crashes throughout the exhibition, but it wasn't actually. But yeah, the battery life. I mean, one tour would take maybe 5% of the battery life of the tablets. It wasn't that bad. Please go ahead. We were using Nexus 7 2013, so the second generation. Yes?
From your employment shop, they were taken, they were returned. Was there any sort of exchange of ID for security purposes or devices tracked in some way?
Cantor was very... Cantor is, again, a very conservative institution, so what we figured out we were going to do was we were going to use RFID tags. So part of the reason why the tablets got so hot, as I mentioned, is that we had very large RFID tags attached to the back of them. So that meant that they were tracked inside of they weren't tracked inside of our exhibition space, but when they left the exhibition space, we had security be notified. So that's how we kept track of them. That was what our security measure. All right, well, thank you so much, and let's leave it up for the next ones.